Listen to what they're saying. We know.
So warm welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today we will be hearing different stories, challenges, and lessons learned about youth driving policy reform from different backgrounds and regions. And our moderator today will be Nadait, which is also one of the co-leads of the Youth Engagement Initiative at Catalyst 2030. But first, let me play a quick video of Sanjoy welcoming all of you to this incredible week.
I am Sanjoy Roy, the co-chair of the Catalyzing Change Week Programming Committee. Welcome to Catalyzing Change Week 2024. This is where we'll not just have conversations, but we'll actually see change. We'll see change makers, innovators within the social space. You'll meet government folks and funders. You'll see people who've done excellent good practice that we can learn from. And most importantly, it'll be a place to network, learn, and exchange ideas. So do dive right in to the Catalyzing Change Week 2024 and enjoy the experience. I am Sanjoy Roy, the
Nadait, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Maria. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I am Nadait Gabrametin, one of the co-leads of the Youth Engagement Initiative at Catalyst 2030. We're excited that you're joining us this lovely Wednesday. That's what I was planning to say, lovely Wednesday, but it's just started pouring outside in New York. So yeah. We're on day 3 of Catalyzing Change Week, which is the world's largest event led by social innovators and entrepreneurs to share knowledge, exchange ideas, and accelerate collaborative systems change. This session, titled Empowering Global Youth, Driving Policy Reform, aims to explore the critical role of youth in driving policy reform efforts for achieving youth equity worldwide. We have 5 amazing speakers lined up for you from different regions representing youth-led initiatives. They will share their experiences, best practices, challenges, and invaluable lessons that they learned from their advocacy journeys. Next slide, please. Okay, yeah. So before we dive in, I just want to give you a bit of a background for what the Youth Engagement Initiative is, which is it's a dynamic initiative that is aimed at actively involving and empowering youth through Catalyst 2030. It rooted in the belief that youth perspectives are instrumental in driving social innovation and change. The initiative focuses on amplifying their voices. It is a critical component of Catalyst 2030's commitment to shaping a better future by harnessing the power of diverse voices and experiences. And it has 3 pillars: the knowledge and resource pillar, which focuses on providing comprehensive support through sharing knowledge and resources. And it is dedicated to assisting youth who are interested in initiating and developing social ventures. The policy and advocacy pillar, which focuses on raising awareness and design solutions to mobilize and advocate for youth. And the engagement pillar, which is committed to facilitating engagement among members of the Youth Engagement Initiative within Catalyst 2030. Now, without further ado, let me introduce the first speaker. Next slide, yeah. Haya Al-Kubati. She is 2015 alumna of the Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange and Study Program, a US government-sponsored exchange program. She's an undergrad medical student and with a passion for social impact, youth empowerment, and a sustainable development activist. She has a background in youth empowerment and program coordination that developed 10 years ago. She has conducted many local Yemeni women and youth empowerment projects through her membership with the Yemeni Association of Productive Health. She believes in learning before serving to understand the community needs and to match that set goals accordingly. being the Arab state regional focal point with the central stakeholders in disaster risk reduction with a major group of children and youth, she hopes to achieve grassroots policy shifts in her community and the Arab states. The floor is yours, Haya.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here. I am so excited for this session. Thank you for the introduction as well. We really hope that this session is not just only, as it's obvious, it's dedicated for youth, but this is an opportunity, living examples of inspiring youth worldwide from all regions, whether they're from the Catalast region or the Catalast network as members or aspiring to be ones in the future, to showcase the amazing work that has been done by youth, their advocacy efforts. And I may start here. Okay, so for me personally, this is a very wide topic, and I would like to highlight like how I started and how this advocacy work would actually go in similar settings, taking it to a local level. As Nadia just mentioned, I have been in contact with youth worldwide from 45 countries, and I can see that driving policy is the most pressing issues. We have a limited impact in our communities. Our efforts are often underestimated, but I would share a different story here. Is that like the insight and how we can, let's say, implement an effective advocacy strategies. It can be used to, it can be influenced. For me, personally, I would say I have followed, let's say, 3 levels. It was, first of all, by understanding my community and understanding the needs that my community actually need to build this bond of interconnectedness. And the second thing I would say, and would highly highlight, is using the media. We live in a world where media is our tool at the moment, being, in the technology era, whether it's by using all the means to advocate for a certain topic, for a certain pressing issue, for local community project. So I think when media is involved, that can cause this paradigm shift where people's empathy is being unleashed, where people are also being involved and they feel like they're the owners of this problem. They want to contribute toward and support that youth. Driving policy is a big topic, as I just mentioned, and it cannot just happen overnight. This also needs the involvement of the community and specifically the youth. And I think us youth has now become more responsible and more aware of the power of a single effort towards the community and how it can change an entire policy in the future. One thing I would say, one of the challenges is, like, us as youth would always tend to expect to have an immediate effect in some sort of policies being changed for the sake of improvement, whereas just like any other policy, I would say the challenges that we have is far beyond that we can just solve within a certain, let's say, a certain advocacy campaign, or within a certain like just a single project being highlighted or a certain community being served, right? So I would say that another tip that we can do is the opportunities. Us as youth can use all the spaces, the human resources, also the institutions and organizations, the youth initiatives. If, for example, if I mention here in Yemen, due to the unstable conditions, many youth-led organizations has been driving policy, improving the communities' pressing issues, have been doing a vast impact and changing lives just by using their, let's say, acknowledging their efforts on a local level. And that has led them to be in contact and highlighted by international organizations, where they have been gained recognition, and also they have gained funding opportunities, international speaking opportunities. They have been more connected to the world, even though that there is a gap of a policy being made or let's say legislated for them to drive this change. So there's always this shortcuts, not shortcuts, but I would say means that youth can utilize. And I would highly emphasize on whether it was a sustainability project, whether it's a digital technologies means, whether it's quality assurance, whether it's human and participation and active citizenship. So I think these value in a way or another would pave the way for any global citizen, any local individual, youth being as an example, to drive this policy and move forward. I would also like to mention that the members of any single policy and how it could escalate, I would say it could be through either youth initiatives, whether it's participation in active citizenship. It could be through physical or virtual space, institutions or organization, human resources, youth workers. This all can drive policy in a way or another, even not in an immediate instant, but in the future as well. I myself have been involved in many international settings, and I can see that in comparison, being in a country like Yemen and in a country, for example, in Europe, how response the community would be. And what I would say and encourage all youth in the MENA region, all youth in the working in local organizations having their own initiatives, is to kind of continue. And I think the colleagues as well will kind of go through the components of how to drive and share some useful tips on how to drive policy. But sharing my story is as simple as it is. It hasn't to be an immediate shift in the system, but rather to have this long sustainable impact. And this will definitely change something in the community. This will definitely change something in the people. And this will way or another will drive a policy and will change not through decision makers, but the people themselves and how they being responsive to similar, let's say, issues. One more thing I would also add is that there are ways that would actually help youth, which the strategy development process for them I would mention, which is that to have clearly defined goals and also ways of achieving them, whether you are leading a local organization, whether you're leading your own campaigns and advocacy. Also, I would say to have sufficient resources available and to understand your community, as well. And let's all believe that young people would play an active role in all stages to make people also involved in the solution of their problems, not to have this superior implementation of solutions. And that definitely will drive policy by the people and for the people as well. One more thing is that let's always have this strategy is based on research. So if you're developing a strategy for your advocacy campaigns, whatever means you're using, technology, personal means, being in person, is to always consider the community conservativity, I would say, because that was one of the main challenges that I faced in my community, to always have this customized solutions and to make people believe in the story I see, the vision I have, and of course to work on the youth, to develop the youth, to give the youth the opportunity to represent themselves, also the capacity building. And I think Catalyst 2030 has had a great impact on me, specifically in giving me some leadership roles that I could have never taken to make my voice heard at the moment, and by giving us a similar session, because I've been working locally, but then having to meet someone from other the globe to work on a similar cooperation and collaboration on a single topic, that has had let's say a shift in my vision, because I've always thought I'm confined to a single geography and like a certain country, and I can just be heard in the MENA like by the most. But then here it comes to where I can just connect with people from other chapters and connect from people from in the General Assembly, to have my voice heard, and also to find all the support that I needed. this is exactly where I would say that where global networks come to play a very important role. These are the tools and channels where we can communicate the world. And I value this opportunity so much. And I would like to give the floor to Nadiet. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Haya, for that, for sharing your experience, your journey, your story, and the tips. I would like, and also highlighting the importance of networks like Catalyst 2030 in amplifying the voice of youth. You know, this is essentially, this is why this initiative exists. So amazing. Thank you for that. Next up, we have Andreas. Wait, give me, okay. And Andreas is a professional in international relations with emphasis in international politics and diplomacy. Currently, he is a project manager at Fundación Colombia 2050. Hopefully, I did not butcher that, focusing on democracy and governance, particularly in fostering effective youth leadership. He specialized in youth citizenship, status, implementation, and development of youth public policies, supporting organizational processes and formal mechanisms of youth participation in post-conflict zones prioritized by the peace agreement of 2016. The floor is yours, Andreas.
Thank you so much, Nadia. I'm sorry. At first, I would like to apologize because, as you can see and hear, I'm Colombian and my accent could be a little bit difficult to understand. Then apologize by myself at this point. And before to start, I would like to present by myself, introduce myself in Spanish too, because I'm here representing in a country, but also in a region. Then, hola a todos, ¿cómo están? Nuevamente bienvenidos a este espacio. Espero que pueda ser muy fructífero hablar sobre estos temas y que podamos conocer las distintas perspectivas del mundo. That was my parenthesis. Then I would like first to show you a little bit about the landscape of LATAM. Because here in LATAM, we have particular features that I would like to share with you. Because the youth movement here in this region start maybe in the 70s, 80s, or 90s with the student movement in the period of the military governments here in Colombia, such like Chile, Argentina, or Brazil. This provoke that the youth situation or the youth issues start to be institutionalized. But in Colombia, we have a thing that is the youth was institutionalized, but marginalized. What I refer with that is that, for instance, the youth issue were located in the education minister, in the sustainable minister, in the executive minister, but we don't have properly an office. The first office in the region, for instance, could be the Youth Institute, the Youth National Institute in Chile. But in Colombia, for instance, we don't have a National Institute of Youth. And in countries such like Brazil or El Salvador, have little commitments about youth, but it is not properly in the executive landscape like the properly secretary. Then the youth, a dilemma to be included in agenda, because we all the times here in LATAM talk about youth. And you can see, for instance, the movement, the social movement for the 2019 in Colombia, the 2018 in Peru, all the people talk about the youth movement, but how the youth could be included in the agenda. And the last feature I would like to highlight is the excessive bureaucracy. Here in Colombia, it's that a characteristic that is too much properly for us, but it's difficult to match how we planning the youth issue in the region. I don't know if Maria, if you can change the slide. I would like to talk about my case, the Colombian case, and what are we facing here in Colombia. We have the first feature is that the youth is organized but dispersed. We have a lot of number of youth organizations here in the local level, but also in the national level, but they are not connected. for that reason, are organized but dispersed. And in Colombia, since the 2018, we have a situation that is we create a formal mechanism to represent the youth people, but it is not only the form to be represented here in Colombia. You can also have your own youth organization, but it is not the formal way to be represented. Then it's difficult to match the public policies about this thing. The second one is the disparity in the territorial planning process, though the territorial conditions. We have in Colombia 6 categories to understand the territories. We have, for instance, big cities like Bogota, Medellin, Cali, Barranquilla, but also we have a local territories, 6 category that, I don't know, have the 70% of the people living in farms or in the rural zone, and only the 30% concentrate in a urban center. That it's quite interesting because it's difficult to match how to planning the planning documents in our country, talking about the local experience. In the national experience is easier, obviously, because the representing is only representing only like up the level. Then I'm representing Bogota, for instance, and then the Bogota representative elect someone who represent the city in a national level. Then it's easier to understand how the politics be made. But in the local region, it's too difficult priority because the territorial condition. The third one I would like to highlight is the asymmetry of technical, operational, and budgetary capabilities. In Colombia, for instance, we have territories that don't have the properly budgetary thing for the young people. As I said, the youth is considered of one of the part with other sectors. Then, yeah, the youth is included because in the education, you have some budget, or because in the families and social labor, you have some budget, but it is not properly to understand the youth issue. And it's difficult us to understand how we can planning. And the last thing that I would like to understand, Teddy from Medellin, hi, Colombia too. The partial delegation of planning responsibility to young people. Since the 2018 in Colombia, the formal mechanism of participation about the young people have to make the public policies. Then think that in Colombia, we understand the youth people or the youth population between 14 and 28, I'm sorry. Think that a person who have 14 years old have to make a public policy. How can he do it or she do it? It's so difficult because she or he don't have the knowledge to make these kind of planification systems. And the support of the local administrations in Bogota and Medellin is easy, but go to, for instance, to this photo was took in Barbacoas, Nariño, that is one of the poorest local territories here in our country. Go to the administration and talk about to planning a public policy for 10 years for only the administration and the people who represent, that is between 14 and 28 years old, with no knowledge about these things. Then the awareness about the youth situation is increased, yes, but we don't have the tools to do the thing that we want to do here in Colombia. I don't know, Maria, if you can change the slide. What are we doing with the Fundación Colombia 2050? Together, but not united. It recognizes that we have the formal mechanism to participate, but we have to include the other organizations and how we can do it. But is that reason? Because together, but not united. Increase the networking among the youth organizations, but with different roles within the planning process. The mechanism for the formal mechanism of youth have the responsibility to make these planifications documents, but we have to include the other youth organizations in order to participate in how we construct like the vision of youth in our territories. Pedagogy for all. The technical training not only for youth organization and local administrations, but also for stakeholders' interest in youth process. Here in Colombia, we have some secretaries that are only work about the peace agreement of 2016, but they don't know about how the youth situation is and how the process of the post-conflict have to be managed with the youth people. For that reason, we think that the pedagogy have to be for all, not only for the instance that provoke or promote this development of planification documents, but also for the people who are participate in the local dynamics for the day for day. And the last one is shape change, changing the focus. We will not solve public problems, but we will solve public management problems. The youth people and the youth organization can solve the poor, can solve the hungry, can't solve the education retired, but we can do all these dynamics. We can manage we can solve, the public management problems. Focus in how are the relation between the youth organization and the administration, and how we can include in the budgetary planification for a year. And we think in Fundación Colombia 2050 that we could understand this problem in this way. And finally, I'm sorry, I don't know, Maria, you can change the slide. It's a long way. And in Colombia, we have many problems that I only want to share with you. The post-conflict and ongoing conflict in Colombia, the conflict is not finished. We have actually 8 intern conflict developed. The lack of and a recognize of and a focus of political thing. What is the political in Colombia, and how the political can be developed here. Ethnic and racial diversity. We have territories that, for instance, the 99% of the people is Afro-Colombian. That only for you and for you should know. Institutional distrust. The people don't trust for the institution, and difficult to access territories. And that's all. Thank you so much. I only want to share with you some things about the situation of young people in Colombia. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that. That was really informative. I didn't know any of these things about the LATAM region, so thank you. We will move on to the next speaker, Sifo Mwanza, who is an experienced developmental specialist and environmental activist. He's the executive director of OpenNet for Zambia. He focuses on digital inclusion, governance, and sustainability. With a strong commitment to youth empowerment, he has spearheaded projects improving education, healthcare, and economic opportunities for underserved populations, while advocating for renewable energy and environmental conservation. The floor is yours, Sifo.
Thank you so much, Nadia, and I hope I'm audible enough. We have road shedding in Zambia, and so the network tends to be bad. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so maybe just to thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here today, and thank you also for hearing from the other speakers. I've learned so much already, like we live in the same world in terms of what issues affecting youth are going through. So basically just also to share my side or my journey, what it has been like in Zambia. I think, first of all, you would also be, you should also know that Zambia is a landlocked country whose population is young, meaning that more than half of its population are young people. And despite, having young people constituting the largest number of the population of the country, in terms of youth participation in decision-making processes, I think there's so much to be desired. And there are a number of factors in terms of having youth, bringing youth to the decision-making table, be it taking leadership positions, or let alone just, ensuring that youths are connected to define and speak to their national processes or define their own community priorities. And so that's where OpenNet has been, my organizational lead has been able to chip in, and it was formed. I think its formation is coming from this background of lack of youth participation, as well as lack of young women participation in decision-making processes. The gender disparity keeps on growing. This has been detrimental in terms of how this has transitioned our nation to be, and this has also affected our National Assembly, where we only have less than 25% of the seats who are occupying those seats are female. And that also has been able to transition down to local level, where at ward level we have 0 or just 1 at best women representation. And so OpenNet was created to speak to the number of issues affecting young women and young men and persons with disability. And so some of the issues, I think, for us, what we've been working on recently has been creating platforms for youth participation, which has been missing in most government structures as well as community structures of the country. And through our advocacy, that consists of having, bringing duty bearers to the table, to the decision-making table with the communities themselves. Specifically, when I say communities, I mean with the young people that, are in these communities. And so young people have been able to discuss and bring these issues out with them, and be able to bring their case because they've not been, in most cases, they've not been, kind of like brought to the decision-making table to define their own community needs. And right now in Zambia, there is what we call the Constituency Development Fund, which is a local fund meant for community projects. And many young people didn't even have the privilege to participate in that, even though most of the components of that constituency development has a component of youths. But all in all, they have not been able to access those opportunities that are present in those that government has brought, and so forth. And so what we've been able to do, first of all, has been to ensure that we bring duty bearers to ensure that there is youth, there is youth representation at every structure, at that local level, especially where these decisions are made using the bottom-up approach. And so we've been able to go in these communities and be able to share with them, to co-create these issues with them, and begin to build their capacity so that they are able to become their own their own change makers in their own right, in their own communities. And so it's really been interesting to see, more especially on the southern part of Zambia, where I mostly work in. It's really been interesting to see what happens when the transformation that comes when a number of young people are engaged in decision-making processes. And so we've been pushing for representation, be it at mayoral level, councillor level, and as well as in local structures such as the Ward Development Committee structures. And over the last 2 years, I think we've been successful enough to ensure that at least we have young people representations, as well as established what we call ward youth action groups. So these are parallel structures at community level where young people can engage with their duty bearers and hold them accountable, as well as we've been able to teach young people in terms of budget tracking. So that they are able to monitor resources, because all the resources the country has belongs to the people. And so young people constituting the largest population. I think they've got so much at stake. And also not having a number of them in these key leadership positions, I think is detrimental, because it affects, in terms of leadership, it affects what they aspire to see. And so they are not able to meaningfully contribute to the developmental agenda. And what has been happening of late has been just mere tokenism, where young people are called to an event, a policy is already formulated, and they're just, there to rubber stamp and endorse. So that's something that we've been trying to see, that from the inception itself, young people are able to be part and parcel of these processes, especially in terms of policy formulation, so that they're able to own it in terms when duty bearers or when the local authorities are implementing these, they are able to own it because they are familiar with it. It's their input. And so that has been lacking, and it's something that we've been trying to build the capacity of a number of young people that we've been working with. And up to date, I think we've trained around 600 youths. Of that number, just to share with everyone, I think 400 have been women. So we have a women prioritization because in these communities we serve, we realize that a number of women tend not to speak up because of a patriarchic system that obviously is adopted or has been there for a long time, and so it becomes very hard for them to participate. And then the other issue that we've been keenly focusing on has been skills development. And so basically in terms of ensuring that youths have got the required skills that they have, and they are able to contribute meaningfully. But also we've been able to connect them with mentors to ensure that at local level, at that particular level, they're able to look up to someone and ensure that they're able to learn a skill or two. And then in terms of skills development, the aspect of it is we've also been able to offer leadership training, which we believe to say is an anchor to all our programs we do to ensure that youths are agents of change in their own rights, in their own communities. With that said, I'll yield my time to Najit, the remaining of my time to Najit. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sifo, for that very insightful. Let me just pull up, okay, the intro for our next speaker. Okay. Who is Charu, an environmental enthusiast and curator of Environ Vision 2050, advocating for sustainability through youth-driven initiatives with over 15 years of experience in policy, advocacy, and media strategy across various sectors, including government, corporates, NGOs, and international organizations. She is passionate about tangible environmental change. She is also a certified Nat Geo educator. The floor is yours, Charu.
Hello, everyone. Just checking, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Great, great. Thank you, Catalyst 2030, for actually, organizing this session and giving us this opportunity. I also thank my co-participants here. Amazing insights from across the world and very insightful, and that also puts me in spotlight where I'm also thanking that the things in India are a little better, and we here are for maybe blessed enough to drive policy changes in a little better manner, and youth here are actually working towards and collaborating in a more cooperative manner. So here I am today with my initiative of EnviroVision 2050. It's a youth organization wherein we drive a sustainability agenda through youth-driven initiatives. We collaborate with government, we collaborate with corporates, and we collaborate with other NGOs to drive the sustainability agenda, and also drive the policy agenda wherein, when we actually put the policies on ground, there could be a little changes are required. We encourage youth to actually drive those changes and provide feedback and be the part of the change makers community. So at EnviroVision, first of all, we actually, first of all, I would like to share how we started with EnviroVision. So I was working with the government in the capital and advising them on various policy issues and media strategy. But we had to shift from our base there to my hometown back because of the pollution there. It was pretty bad. If you can just show the next slide, probably you'll have the sense of it. But we had to leave everything behind, and all our friends were still suffering there. It was a pretty bad situation. We had to be part of the solution. We thought that we can't leave. Everybody cannot shift a city. Everybody's not that blessed. We had the choice, but our friends were still suffering. So with my family and myself, we started with EnviroVision 2050, wherein we actually engaged with other youth to drive the change and be the flag bearers. And that's how EnviroVision 2050 was born. Why 2050? because we feel that, whatever change we bring today we'll be able to reap the benefit of it by 2050. Maybe if we grow a tree today, or we pollute the environment today, it will affect us in 2050. Hence, EnviroVision 2050. For now, it is in lines with the SDG goals, and we try to work around with the SDG goals of climate change, life underwater, life on Earth, and also the collaborative SDG goal of building collaborations and partnerships, the SDG goal of 17. We have been certified, we have been actually endorsed by United Nations. And the approach we take at EnviroVision is to actually, educate youth about all the policy matters going on in the sustainability areas, and how they can use their power to bring about a change. We educate them in sustainable practices, and then we use technology to actually showcase them what each one of us can do, and how each one of us can drive that change. What are the changes which we can bring as an individual and as a group? Therein we simply collaborate with the local authorities, and to develop, and also develop community related initiatives. I'll give you a small example here. We actually went down to the river streams here and studied the pollution, the plastic waste which we have created. Once we had that data in hand, and how what are the small microplastics which we are creating are actually affecting our water bodies, our local water bodies. We actually, gave that presentation to the local government, and we came up with the initiative of Bring Your Own Bag, wherein, we were advocating for removing single-use plastic from our community. So the youth there, they actually trickled down. They actually collected all the old cloth, old rags, and they actually created bags and distributed them in the community. We collaborated with the local government here. The initiative has trickled down to about 25,000 community members, and we proudly say that we were able to actually bring about a change of about actually distributing around 2,500 bags till date, and which is a very big initiative to actually put back those single-use plastics away from our oceans through our rivers. Next slide, please. Yeah, next. So yeah, so the youth here basically, they really want to be heard. They don't know where to begin. Hence, EnviroVision is in one place where they can actually join in the youth council here, and we try to put them, educate them, and then make them understand the problem, and then put them on connect them with the right authorities or the right stakeholders to actually be the part of the solution. All our initiatives are action driven, and I would like to say they are youth driven. So a youth here can actually just go approach a local government or write to the MLAs here, the MPs here, and actually talk about the changes they want to bring in. So as EnviroVision 2050, we actually encourage them and provide that platform for the youth to actually join in and have that say in the policy matters, and actually bring those policies on ground. This is how we made a small corporate video, and if you can play Nadit, that would be really kind.
Yes, maybe since we are running out of time, I will be sharing the slides as well. So maybe we can watch it after, because we are a little bit running out of time. So
it's just a 1 minute thing, if at all, if I may have, and then I'll wrap it up. Okay. Just 1 minute thing. I would request that.
Today, I'm taking action.
Today I'm making new choices, as I should.
Because our planet is a blue planet.
And I am changing the whole environment for good.
I used to say, there is nothing wrong.
I used to say, let's just have fun.
I cannot change it all by myself.
I did not think change could be done.
So I stood by, watched the sea levels rise.
Sat back as plastic gets accumulated. I did not know I was a part of the problem. I did not know the solution could be reached. I have learned that small actions matter.
And science tells us it's time.
I now know what we have to do to restore the environment that's yours and mine.
So what's stopping you from taking an action?
Let's just all think for a while. What can you do to make a difference?
And bring the environment back from the brink.
We know every day matters. Let's put action into motion.
We are the ones to do this. We have the vision to lead today.
EnviroVision 2050 for the environment we need.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Just to wrap up here, we actually, collaboration is the key. Like Haya also mentioned, first educate yourself. That's what we do, educate the youth here. Number two, actually drive the action through collaboration. Collaboration with the youth themselves, collaboration with the community, and collaboration with the local authorities is where to begin with. Thirdly, I would say, I think technology is one thing which can drive youth together. And social media, of course, should be the key, wherein, youth can actually voice their thoughts, and that's the beginning point, where, every person has that tool to actually use that power and bring about that change. I welcome everyone to join our internship programs. And like many of us say, it's like a Hotel California, wherein, you just check in once and you stay here forever and be the change maker here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charo. Our next speaker, since we're running out of time, is Zorixa. She's running an initiative focused on youth empowerment. Over the past 10 years, she has worked with youth-focused agencies and organizations, gaining valuable experience along the way. During this time, she has had the opportunity to develop and implement strategies aimed at fostering positive change. Her focus has been on crafting both national and local youth strategies, building meaningful partnerships with respected international organizations, and supporting the development of regional initiatives dedicated to empowering young people. The floor is yours, Zorixa.
Thank you. Thank you, Nadate, and thank you, Maria, for the invitation. When I was invited to cover my story or my journey in 5 minutes, I said it's impossible because it's spanning, it started at 2003. Maybe we can show the first slide that is about my own personal journey and the lessons learned and the experiences that I've had. And I will also try to cover some of the questions that I've seen in the chat. So basically, the first year to my own engagement, then 10 years after engagement in youth policy or in the Agency of Youth and Sport, our national governmental institution for youth policy development, and also where I am now in my own initiative focused on youth empowerment and implementation with focus on some specific SDGs. If we go to the next slide, I would briefly like to share my first engagement in the youth sector. So basically, after 2001, Macedonia, the country where I'm based, was on a verge of a multi-ethnic conflict. And many of us were dealing with the challenges on how we work with others, how we network with our peers who are coming from different ethnicities and all that. So I had a conversation with my friends after school, and we said we can't do anything. It's on politicians. They started the conflict, and they are the ones who should stop the conflict. We can't really do anything as young people. But then I came back home and I got a call from my friend who told me, do you agree with what has been said in the conversation? And I said, no, probably not. Let's do something. So my idea here, we joined an initiative which was called at that time Youth Balkan Fund, which was focused on youth engagement, specifically for topics on intercultural collaboration. We joined the Youth Decision Making Board when we worked with other young people who ran small initiatives on collaboration, building partnerships, specifically after that challenging conflict for our country. And at that time, I said to myself, this is probably something that I would like to do in the future, but a little did I know that it's going to become my profession. So in the meantime, I graduated in the area of marketing and I started working in the corporate field. But then in 2013, maybe we can go to the next slide, I joined the Agency of Youth and Sport. As I said, a youth governmental agency focused on creation and implementation of youth policies. At that time, we were a small team, no budget focused on youth. Just as Andres mentioned, there is something, but not something specific. So we needed to create a national youth strategy. The idea was to invite representatives from the public sector so we can sit together and discuss about cross-functional policies and some activities that we would needed to do as part of the government. But then we said, no, what are we going to do if we don't have a budget? And how are we going to make a national strategy for the young people? And then we came to the idea that we need to create, we approached the UN. We discussed about the Millennium Goals at that time, and we said, let's create a document that will be tied to the Millennium Goals, and let's make it a wide process where we not only invite the governmental institutions, but we also invite youth organizations and young people. So any individual who might not even belong to a specific organization that can join and take part in the process. So at that time, we had around 900 participants or who joined the call. Speaking of the metrics now, which was one of the questions, but 600 of them were taking part in the working groups in 8 priority areas. And it was quite interesting to see a young person from a high school in a small community, in a small country, town, in Macedonia, sitting together with a representative from the Ministry of Education and telling them, no, what you are doing or what you are planning to do is not going to work for us. This maybe has been done this way by now, but we need to change that. And this is what our aspirations and needs are. So we created a document that was, I would say, celebrated, accepted, and acknowledged by not only by the governmental institutions who were responsible for the implementation, but also for among young people and youth organizations. And right after that, another indicator, we sat down together and we started drafting an action plan, because the policies are nice, we can prepare a nice design, but then in practice we need to do something. So speaking of participation, it was a document where we all took ownership of its creation and also implementation. And fast forward, 10 years after, maybe we can go to the last slide. This is where I'm now. I started my own initiative with that best friend who called me in 2003 and asked me if I wanted to join the initiative. And now we are focused on youth empowerment and with the specific focus to the SDGs on well-being, quality education, and also gender empowerment. why I've put authentic youth participation needs to be youth-centered, not only youth-focused, is that at the moment, not at the moment, but when we started planning our activities, we said we are not going to create activities and projects for young people because we don't know that the young people that well. Let's start with at the research, where we really ask them what they need. So we gathered a number of around 1,200 young people, asking them what their needs, aspirations, challenges, and problems are. We created a document that is part of our vision. And we also shared that document with the Agency of Youth and Sport, where I worked 10 years ago. And we told them, this is what we created. I know that you are in the process of creating a new national youth strategy. So maybe you can use this now and measure what was made or created back then, and how would you like to proceed from now on. So my main point here, I'm mindful about the time, is that youth participation and youth policies can only happen with involvement of young people, and we cannot really guess what young people need or want without asking them to sit together with us on the table. And that should happen on local, national, regional, and international level. As I said, time is limited, so I'm open to further discussions if you are interested in how these things have been developed in North Macedonia, and thank you for the attention.
Thank you so much for that, Zorisa. And thank you, everyone. I'm going to do I don't think we have time to do Q&As because it's 2 minutes left now. But I just want to take a minute to thank everyone here for joining, but also our speakers for sharing their experiences, the challenges that they face. We have heard from India, Colombia, Zambia, and Macedonia. It's incredible. Thank you again. This was amazing. I don't know can we take 1 minute, like one question maybe? I don't know. 2 minutes. We have 2 minutes. Maria, what do you think?
Yes, I think if Nezer a couple, so I'm gonna share it again. One of them is about considering the diverse challenges faced by youth across different regions. How can policy reform be inclusive and representative of the unique needs of underprivileged and marginalized young people? And then what metrics or indicators do you believe are most effective for measuring the impact of youth-led policy reforms? And how can this be standardized across different advocacy initiatives to ensure comparability and scalability? I think there are broader questions. So if maybe the first one is, I don't know if it's shorter or if somebody wants to add or answer these questions, and also, yeah, like some of the speakers want to answer any of these questions. I know it may not be solved in 2 minutes, but maybe we can wrap up. Go, Andres.
Yeah, I would like to respond the second one. Too short. I think that we have to analyze the metrics in 2 ways. The first one is the adoption of the policy, and the second one is the implementation of the policy. In Colombia, we believe that the adoption of the policy is like, yeah, we achieved the planning, the planification document, and here in Colombia, we think that more documents are better. But I would like to analyze the policy of youth for the implementation. We don't have a budgetary focus in the policies. We don't have a diversity focus in the policies. We don't have an implementation plan in the policies. Then I think the best metric to analyze this is the implementation way. Thank you.
Okay, and Zorita, sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correct. I would also, she says that she would also also like to add that the aspect of co-ownership in the implementation as another metric. So maybe if you want to close it up, Nadait, but we really want to say a warm welcome in case you're part of Catalyst and you're not yet part of the Youth Engagement Initiative. We really welcome you all to join. And we really encourage you to join other sessions regarding youth. After this, now is happening another session about youth. So I'm sharing here in the chat the upcoming ones. So make sure you're also part of the discussions and ask any questions as well that we are sorry that we could not answer them all in here. But we will create other spaces as well to hear more about you. And sorry to be 1 minute delay, but thank you all the speakers.
Yeah.
And
Maria, you can mail these questions to us, and we can address them.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Super. So thank you very much. And again, we will share the presentation as well with you. Hope to see you very soon.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.